that. And he even says, if I get Epstein, it wasn't me. I fully believe that this man did not take his own life, and I've got evidence to prove this theory. This is a crazy story, folks. The story is currently trending on Twitter, and I just have to show you some very important things to give you a better picture of what happened here. You see, John McAfee, for a long time, had been talking about how he had information on government corruption, corruption in the CIA, corruption in the federal government. Here's a tweet where he says, I've collected files on corruption in governments. For the first time, I'm naming names and specifics.
He's got the information. If he's able to create analyze software, then that means that he's been able to prove that he can get into freaking the existing software that's under contract, making it obsolete.
I'll begin with a corrupt CIA agent.
And hackers, they don't play their full hand.
And 2 Bahamian officers. Coming today, if I'm arrested or disappeared, 31 plus terabytes of incriminating data will be released to the press. You see, John McAfee had been talking about the corruption in the US government for quite some time, saying that he had insider information on the so-called deep state, and in general, just the CIA, the FBI. And after he came out against the government went after him like a rabid dog. They charged him with tax evasion, they seized his money, they seized his assets, and they forced him to sit in a jail cell. But hold on to your horses, folks, because it gets even stranger.
And the thing is, a guy like McAfee just doesn't, there's people that support him and stuff, and there's people, that he doesn't even know, but he's been working with for freaking decades. He doesn't know them, there's a certain trust in that community. And that's what people don't realize about cyber world. It's very in-depth. I mean, there's so many layers to it. And there's that information will be released. He's part of the internet party. I'm telling you that. He didn't come out and say it, but he's part of the internet party. And that's why he was, he became a face of things. It helps a lot of people get rich. But these are people freaking simple people. I'm not saying simple like they're freaking slow or whatever else. I'm saying that they're freaking, they're minimalistic. That's what I should have said. They don't need a lot. But bombs are about to be dropped. I'm telling you, they're about to be dropped. And 31 terabytes. I mean, that's a lot of bombs. I mean, there's a couple tactical news in that. I mean, yeah, just do the numbers. That's an arsenal.
In another tweet from November 30th, 2019, John McAfee posted the following tweet. He says, getting subtle messages from U.S. officials saying, in effect, we're coming for you, McAfee. We're going to off yourself. I got a tattoo today just in case. If I take my own life, I didn't. I was whacked. Check my right arm. He literally got the following tattoo, whacked. You can't make this stuff up. Now, you can't say for sure, maybe he really did take his own life, but I personally do not believe it. In my opinion, it's entirely possible that he knew too much. So let's read some details. Wow, this is crazy, man. McAfee was found dead on Wednesday afternoon in his cell in Brians 2 prison in Barcelona, with officials saying that the early investigation points to taking his own life, the Catalan Justice Department said, confirming an earlier report from El Mundo newspaper. It came just hours after a Spanish court approved McAfee's extradition to the United States, where he is wanted on tax-related criminal charges that carry a sentence up to 30 years. Now keep in mind, the average man lives to 75 years old. John McAfee was already 75. If he was going to go to jail for 30 years, he was never going to get out. The story says his death follows a wild, controversial life filled with legal issues, foreign adventures, and allegations that McAfee murdered his American neighbor. Was never proven, and John is always denied himself. Here's a picture of him sitting at a video conference. Here's a picture of his room. Literally do not know how you could possibly harm yourself in this room. The beds are short. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. This is a picture of him and his wife, and
the only way to harm oneself would be like I tried to do when I was 8 years old, when my stepmom moved in because she was an evil bitch. Was hang myself from the top of the rung of the bed and stuff, because it looks like it's actually mounted on the wall. To a point. I mean, it seems pretty solid, and things like that. So and then you just drop your knees and lift up and stuff. But I mean, I don't know how much time. Like that's the big factor, is how much time was involved in this, because this is the crime scene apparently, and so in order to do strangulation by like that, I mean that's gonna take. I would say at least 30 minutes. But I think even then, one could recover because it's not, I mean, it's still hard. I'm not good at strangulation. I don't know much about strangulation and stuff. But I mean, I believe that, like, people have been able, I mean, if you didn't snap the neck, it takes a while because you can still breathe, blood's still flowing, and so there's brain damage that could be, incurred during the practice. But
literally do not know how you could possibly harm yourself in this room. The beds are short. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. This is a picture of him and his wife, and gotta say, he's got some good taste. Let's go over.
Friggin', even freaking. And the thing is, he's probably got some blow laying around the corner, that's just off camera. But
to John McAfee's Twitter, I want to make it very clear. There's literally no evidence to suggest that this man was troubled. He pinned the following tweet on June 16th. This wasn't that long ago. The U.S. believes I have hidden crypto. I wish I did, but it has dissolved through the many hands of Team McAfee. Your belief is not required, and my remaining assets are all seized. My friends evaporated through fear of association. I have nothing. Yet I regret nothing. On June 20th, which is the most recent, literally a few days ago, he retweeted the following tweet. Happy Father's Day at official McAfee. Though you are spending the day in prison, know that you are loved and appreciated. This is from Janice McAfee. And they wrote this sweet letter basically saying, we know that you've had your ups and downs, we know that you're polarizing, but you're a good man, you're an honest man, and you care about speaking the truth. I see nothing in these tweets that even slightly suggests that he was struggling. Here's a tweet from June 10th. He says, there's much sorrow in prison, disguised as hostility. The sorrow is plainly visible, even in the most angry faces. I am old and content, with food and a bed. But for the young, prison is a horror, a reflection of the minds of those who conceive them. Does this seem like a guy who is suffering? It really does not. If you ask me, I believe that John McAfee did have information on government officials, probably very corrupt government officials. He was a rich man, he had a lot of connections. You see, tax evasion is this dirty little trick that the feds like to use to put innocent people in prison. After all,
like Al Capone.
How do you prove that somebody did or didn't slip a few dollars here or there? Maybe somebody made an accounting error. Tax evasion, put them in prison for 30 years. The system is corrupt. It is extremely corrupt. And I have a huge problem with these laws. You can't just put a man in jail with zero evidence. And you're telling me the government can charge you with something and then seize all of your assets? That is corruption defined. Here the article says Tennessee prosecutor
That was with Kim.com.
charged McAfee with evading taxes after failing to report income made from promoting cryptocurrencies while he did consultancy work, as well as income from speaking engagements and selling the rights to his life story for a documentary.
Okay, so, I mean, how big of deals are those?
The charges refer to the 3 fiscal years from 2016 to 2018, according to a Spanish court's ruling on Wednesday. You see how ridiculous this is? You didn't report your income on your speaking engagements. You're gonna go to prison for 30 years. Are you kidding me? Here's a quote.
But Biden can get away with fucking murder.
In late 2018, I announced I would run again, and I also announced I would target the IRS and its corruption, and 2 months later, the IRS filed charges against me. He told the Spanish court during the first hearing of his extradition trial, quote, I believe these charges are politically motivated, end quote. McAfee added that given his age of 76, he would also spend the rest of his life in prison if he were convicted in the United States. But you know what, my friends, that's pretty much the story. It's a developing story. There may be more details. I'm just shocked. I am absolutely shocked by this. I do not believe he took his own life. I think this was a dirty hit job by the IRS and by the feds. Rest in peace, John McAfee. You were a wonderful, strange, controversial man, but you were not a bad man. You believed in telling the truth and speaking truth to power, and man, oh man, does this look dirty. But that, my friends, is merely the obvious. Well, that's all for now, folks. What do you think about the story? Let me know down below in the comment section. I